I just had to minister to somebody last night that goes to this church. I had to help them out. Not last night, but yesterday. Feeling a little better, I felt like I wanted to talk. Well, they called me. And I had to let them know. Trust me, your spiritual well-being is going to be predicated on how you respect what God has placed treasure and purpose and priority on, which means he dispersed himself in a body. Remember he told them in the wine and the crackers, he said, so y'all think it's wine and crackers. We trying to figure out if it's fermented or not. It don't matter. The principle's still here. The principle is they didn't discern the Lord's body. When you discern the Lord's body, or don't discern the Lord's body, you're weak, sickly unto death. In other words, in death you can't reproduce anything. So we can't reproduce righteousness because we're still a servant to sin. Why? Because we don't discern the Lord's body. Because we can't receive Kathy. We can't receive, come on now, one another. A prophet or myself. We got to be able to exhort, pray, comfort. All the one another's. Spend time. You have a problem with people. Go through the Blue Letter Bible and look up one another.
That's right.
And I guarantee you, if you really let it become medicine to your soul, it'll change you. It's a whole glue glob, a bunch of them. I know that ain't right, but you know, that's my mic. But anyhow, I'm serious though. It's a whole bunch of. Oh, well, here I go. I'm gonna stop. All right. But I'm going to talk about the path of righteousness too. Not just righteousness, but the path, because we have a whole rich history of the path. Maybe I'll teach that later. We can move on. I knew I got to get done. Number 6. I like this one over in Psalms. It says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. What else? I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. And thy rod and our staff, they do comfort me. I'm a hot mess. You can tell I haven't been ministering on Sunday, can't you? It says, yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That's what we want to talk about. Yeah. I will fear no evil. That's powerful, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is so. How many know all of humanity found themselves from the Garden of Eden in the valley of the shadow of death? Yes. Oh, yeah. All of humanity. Everything since the clock started ticking in the Garden of Eden, the shadow of death was precluded into all of humanity. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, y'all look kind of funny at me, but it's the truth. And you know what? Thank God that he was able to come down to us. You know, in the 3rd chapter of Genesis, he said, he gave a precious promise to Adam and Eve and the serpent. He told the serpent, he said, you know what? I got something prepared for the woman that's going to come through her womb. That's my paraphrase. Right. That you going to smite its heel, and its heel going to bruise your head. From that point on, the shadow of death. Amen. And so I know some of you guys probably, that post I put in the group, that's more of a Passover post. But there is some deeper life things, and we're going to talk about this shadow of death on a deeper scope. Because we got to understand that. Because most of what we're feeling struggling with is the shadows. It's just the shadows. You know, and you can't get a shadow without light being obstructed. So there's an obstruction of light somewhere. And that's what happened. And God began to create a system to abridge what transpired in the Garden of Eden. Amen. And you know, from all the way from Adam to Christ for 4,000 years, God put a system in there. You know, that system didn't show up until Moses showed up. But God always had a witness in the earth. From Genesis 3 on, he always, and I don't want to repeat all the different heroes of our faith. Amen. You guys know the Bible. But that is where the valley of the shadow of death started. Amen. So we have to understand that. And all of us, as long as we're on this side, the only thing going to offset the valley of the shadow of death, what's going to offset it, y'all? A renewed mind. A renewed mind. A renewed mind. Every time we get renewed in our concepts, we get renewed in our principles and how we operate. See, some of y'all don't understand this thing. It's deeper than how you feel today.
Right.
It's deeper than the ought that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Not how you ought to behave, but the ought you got you misbehaving.
Right.
And all those idiosyncrasies that the enemy used to prostitute your freedom for himself.
Mm-hmm.
There is a freedom that God has given to us, and to the point where we started off in verse 1, it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I should not want. In other words, I should not want not to have, or I should not want to be enslaved by the shadow of death.
Amen.
He said, I will fear no evil because thou art with me. Where'd that come from? But we're going to talk about that. I'm going to break that down, that statement I just made. We got to understand that is a rich, rich statement. When you think about it, historically, Christologically, when you think about it, Christ has taken a people out of that valley. Where the shadow of death has to rule no more. When Jesus showed up, he was on the cross. That's why it got dark. He was eliminated, removing the shadow of death. It will never have to happen again. Because he said, if you follow me, you're going to have the light of life. We follow Christ. We do it God's way. We have the light of life. We get the results that we want. We keep doing it the way we want to do it, then we're going to abide in the valley of the shadow of death. But the only way we can make that divine exchange and cut off that faulty root system that wants to do nothing but breed and replicate death after death after death, you have to be renewed in your mind. You can sit under teaching. You can be in big churches. You can have mainstream names. You can have labels on your favorite pastor, teacher, whoever, fivefold ministry gift. You can have a longing for the fivefold ministry gift. You can be empowered to look into the deeper things of the scriptures and the word, and you can have, you get what I'm saying? You can be marinated and saturated in the presence of God. But I'm telling you, but there's still that valley, that thing in the back of our mind.